Hyderabad, you can attend any of our campus which is nearby to your home. So I believe that, like when I'm talking about this also, you have advantages of having online classes. What I found out recently is that, when you're actually attending online, you are very comfortable at home, and during this pandemic situation, you are at the best safety when you're at home. Now, along with that, you can actually clear your doubts anytime, like through all you have to do is click the button and your teachers will be answering to your doubts. The second is, for your assignments, you don't need to go all the way to campus. You can actually clear all your doubts at home through online platform. And along with that, when you're doing an assignment later after learning all these things, all you have to do is, and you actually come out with a doubt, all you have to do is that you actually go ahead and view the recorded session of your live session. All the live sessions that your faculties take will be recorded, and you can just view it anytime, any number of time at any point of time. Clear? So we have all our 8 creative courses in our online and campus learning model. Now, some of you who are watching me here at least will be having a doubt. Is creative education right for me? So you may be understanding, if those who are actually attending with me, all of you will be having an interest or a passion for creative education or something to do with drawing. But then you may be thinking that, is it a right career choice for me? At least some of you will be thinking. So let's understand this by 4 different examples. Okay, this picture represents fashion or fashion industry. Do you know that India is the second largest producer and exporter of cotton in the world? The size of India's garment industry or textile industry is $108 in 2015, and it is supposed to grow to 226 billion by 2023. So I want you to widen, understand this, how wide or deep the fashion textiles or garment industry is. So when an industry is so wide, you need to understand that the job scope or otherwise your career choices is as wide as that. So this picture represents interior designing. Now, interior designing is also as big as fashion. It is supposed to grow to 1,138 million industry by 2021. Now, when we take a look at graphic designing, I'll tell you, this is a field which grew last 10 years. Whenever the technology grew rapidly, graphic designing also grew rapidly along with it. So during this pandemic time, you know that we are all dependent on technology. So you need to understand that graphic designing is a field which is going to stay, or which is going to have a lot of job opportunities during this time and the times to come. Okay, so the demand for graphic designing is not going to reduce anytime soon. So the camera represents photography department. Now photography, I think most of us are interested in photography, but when we think of photography, we think it more like a hobby than a professional career. But is that so? You may be knowing there's a lot of advent or increase in advertising media, fashion industry, or commercial, e-retailing like Myntra or Jabong. With all these things, you will see this beautiful photograph. So behind every photograph, or creative photograph, there is a photographer, and there is a job opportunity for every photography student who passes out. Clear? So by this slide, I want you people to take a deep look on how wide. I've just introduced you to four different creative education or creative field, and you can understand the depth of each field. And when a field is deep, wide, and big, you need to understand that this is the right field for you. So simply, creative education is a start of a unique career for you. Okay, so here, these are the 8 different creative courses what Hamstech has. Let's take a look. We have fashion designing, We have interior designing, we have jewelry designing, we have fashion styling, we have makeup course, photography, graphic designing, and baking. Now, when we come to fashion design, even if you are not connected to creative field, you don't know anything about the creative field, but you might have heard of a fashion designer. So fashion designer is a person who creates fashion outfit or garments, designs fashion outfit or garments. So let's understand what a fashion designer who comes out of Hamstech does on a daily basis. Okay, this is a day in the life of fashion designer. Okay, you can see here, fashion designer draw, design and develop new clothing and accessory. This is something all of you may be clear that they develop new outfits or garments. Okay, but is that the only thing fashion designer do? No, they go ahead and come out with presentation, because whatever they design, they need to present it to their creative team or their bosses or their management or clients. Okay, now along with that, they need to have a good costing. Costing means they should be able to come out with the cost or the price of the garment that they make, because they should be able to arrive at a selling point, and they should be able to conduct market research. What is market research? If a fashion designer work in Hyderabad market, it is essential that the fashion designer know what the market preferences are, what people like in terms of color, embroidery, print. So this is something that a fashion designer need to understand. And along with that, they need to also understand what are the current fashion trends across the world and in India or Hyderabad market. Clear? So most of the fashion designing students who pass out from Hamstech work as fashion designer in boutiques of fashion company, and you saw what do they do, in their daily life. Okay. So let's take a look at the next career, that is textile designer. At textile, you can see here there are many fabrics, and you can see they are prints or pattern. So a textile designer is a person who comes out with print or pattern on the cloth or the fabric. Okay, can a fashion designer become a textile designer? Definitely yes, because that's exactly what we teach at Hamstech. At Hamstech, we have an exclusive module for textile or textile designing, where it's taught and you can always become a textile designing. And where are they placed? Where are textile designers placed? Textile designers are placed at you have textile firms, and also you can see home furnishing that come out with curtains, shower curtains, bed sheets. If you see all of them, they have prints on them, and these people may not require a fashion designer because they don't need to develop a garment or an outfit. They just need a textile designers. So you see there is a wide scope of textile designer also, and also brands like W kurtas you might have heard about. Brands like W has exclusive textile designing, because when you take these W kurtas, they have these beautiful prints on them. They're known for printed kurtis or kurtas. Clear? Now I told you in my first slide that the textile or garment industry is really huge. That means what? It means that you will have a lot of garment industries across India. So when you have a lot of garment industry, they have job role. And one of the most popular job role is a merchandiser here. A merchandiser. Merchandiser can be called as an export merchandiser, a garment merchandiser, or a production merchandiser. Okay. Now, what do they do? So imagine that you work in a garment factory. Okay, a garment stitching factory, and your factory receives 1,000 t-shirt orders from a US buyer. Now, you are the one who receives the order. Once you receive the order, it is your duty to source the fabric. Remember, it is a stitching unit. Source the fabric, sample and product development. That is, you go ahead, make the product, develop the product. You don't really sit and stitch, but you actually coordinate, communicate with different departments to make sure the product is actually developed. Once the product is developed, you do the costing part because you need to give the costing to your buyer in US. Once that is done, actually, you do the planning because the US buyer may be having specification in terms of measurement or in terms of how many days it should be delivered. So all the planning and costing is done by the production merchandiser. How do they do? By the two main skill, which is coordination and communication with different teams inside the company, as well as the vendors outside the company, and also the buyer in US. For this, you definitely need to have fashion knowledge or fashion studies because it deals with fabric, embroidery, prints, measurements, specification. And I'll tell you, production merchandiser is really like it's really like owner of the project, and it's a very important role in the garment factories. So as fashion designing students, you all have this option, and it's also a well-paid role. Clear? So let's move to the next role, which is visual display expert, or I'll call it visual merchandiser. Now, a visual merchandiser is a person who is responsible for the look of a retail store. Now, when I talk about a retail stores are stores like Pantaloon or Shoppers Stop. So visual merchandisers are the people who actually change the display or play around with the display to come out with a very attractive display for garments or accessories or any products in these shops. Interesting, right? Okay. Now you may think that, and why do they do that? So that the customers are interested and they come to the shop and they go ahead and buy the products, or it enhances the sales. Now you may think that display at store, it is so easy. You just have to change few setups and, that's it, your display is done. No, definitely no. So you need to, I'll just take you through some of the skills what visual merchandisers possess. That is, a few of them are, or elements what visual merchandisers have. They need to have an in-depth understanding about the color, because if the shop is well color coordinated, the customers are more attracted, or the shop looks very pleasing and rhythmic. Now the second skill, or one of the skill what visual merchandiser use is creating a focal point in the shop. Imagine that you're entering a shoe shop, and in the center of the shop, okay, you have something like this. You have a huge model of a shoe which is made. Won't your attention go there? Definitely. Your attention will definitely go. You'll be attracted to get into the shop and understand what's going on in the shop. So, and then along with that, remember, they have to come out with beautiful display. Along with beautiful display, they have to make sure maximum products are displayed in the shop. They have to play along with, the signage is so well. It should be attractive. They have to play along with the empty spaces. They have to utilize the empty spaces. So I'm just giving you a gist of it. You need to understand there are so many aspects that visual merchandiser need to understand. For this, when you're actually doing your fashion designing course, you have an in-depth study of color. You have elements and principles of design, which eventually will be used when you're actually becoming a visual display expert or a visual merchandiser. Clear about that role? It looks very interesting, and job roles are open for retail shops like Pantaloon, Shoppers Stop, any of the fashion stores. And you know that if you're staying in Hyderabad, Bangalore, or any of the cities, the number of retail stores are numerous. Clear? Okay, I am so proud to introduce you Miss Neeta Lulla, our fashion designing mentor for so many years. She's an award-winning fashion designer and has designed costumes in many Bollywood movies. So this is one of her movie collection, that is a costume from Jodha Akbar. So this brings me to the next career, that is costume designer. Costume designer are designers who actually come out with creative garments outfit for movies, theaters, or television. Okay, so how do you think they're different from fashion designers? I feel technically the process of designing remain the same. There's no difference. But when it comes to movie, the costume designer has to actually design for the character, and the character can always be a historical character. Like for example, this Jodha Akbar movie, it's a historical drama. Now in the drama, to come out with the costume, the costume designer need to actually have an in-depth understanding about the custom, culture, fabric, embroidery, the way they dress during that era. That is, they have to go through an in-depth study of all these things. You know, they need to actually go through visuals of whatever visuals available in the libraries. You know, so you see the difference. So costume designers design for characters in movie, television, and theaters, and the understanding how they go about is little different from the fashion designers. Clear? During my teaching career, I have seen that there are many students who are just interested in sketching. Okay, so when you're actually learning your fashion designing, we teach you technically how to come out with a fashion figure. So once you finish your fashion designing program also, you realize that you're more interested in the sketching aspect of it than creating an outfit. Then you don't have to worry. Fashion designing department or the industry is so wide that if you want to just sketch, you can always get hired under a fashion designer and communicate their ideas by your sketching. So if you're interested in fashion sketching also, because the field is very vast, you have an opportunity for that. So they're called fashion illustrators, or fashion sketching is called fashion illustrators. So now we come into fashion blogging. So I think this is something that you people will be able to explain to me much better. Okay. So fashion blogger is a person who writes or uploads pictures or videos about fashion, lifestyle, hairstyles, the current trends, what's happening, you know, in the fashion world. Okay. So fashion blogger, as you see, actually I feel it's a very interesting career because it's a combination of fashion journalism. Writing skills should be there. It's a combination of styling, it's a combination of modeling. You know why? Because most of the bloggers, they model for their own clothes or they style their own clothes. So it's a combination of 2-3 careers mixed up, and it's very interesting, and you can always experiment this sitting at your own home. You can always start it up when you're doing your fashion designing course also. Okay, now with fashion designing, you might have seen boutiques. If you're walking through any street, at least you will come across with one fashion boutique. So you can always start your own brand or your boutique. Most of our students who finish, they actually start their own boutique. Okay, the last career, which is called the fashion styling, this I'm going to cover. For this particular career option, I have a dedicated slide for you. Okay, I'll tell you why when I'm covering it in the slide. Now, before I move on to the next one, I want to tell you that Hamstech has 1-year fashion designing program. We have 2-year diploma program in fashion designing. We have 3-year bachelor's program in fashion designing. Okay, take a closer look at this photo. Okay, for me, the interior looks very stylish. I think, and I feel, I'm analyzing this could be because the colors of the furniture are very neutral. They're very stylish. And if you see the center table piece is very stylish, sleek, and you have a storage furniture here basically. That's also very, neutral color and very stylish, you know, and you have a wall paneling. This all together, it's bringing a very sleek, stylish, very serene kind of a feel. Okay, now this is exactly what interior designers do. They go ahead and enhance interior spaces. It can be residential spaces like your home or houses, or it can be a commercial space like retail shops, hotels, clubs, malls. Clear? Where do they work? Most of our students who pass out, they work as interior designers in interior firms. And let's take an example of a residential interior designer. So if you take a look at this picture, you can understand the interior designing is designing for a home, for a space, or a residential space or a home designing there he's doing. So what does an interior designer do on a daily basis? So to design a home, definitely interior designer need to sit along with the client. They need to understand what his preferences are, what is his liking for the home, what are the color choices that he like, what is his personality. Once he understands everything, he goes ahead and research in the market to understand what are the products and what are the material which is available in the budget, what the client wants. Once this is done, interior designer goes ahead and comes out with a beautiful and creative interior which has to be presented to the client or the company because it needs approval. Once if the approval is yes, then you move ahead, coordinate with the contractors or the workers to come ahead and to execute the interior designing plan. Very interesting, right? Okay, let's move into the next career. Okay, what does this look like? To me, it looks more like a musical instrument, but it's a chair, okay? Now, if you finish your interior designing and you really are interested in just furniture designing, you can always go ahead, just be a furniture designer, because like fashion, interior designing is also a vast field, and you like certain section or genre, then you can just stick to that. So you can always become a furniture designer even after your interior designing. Now we come to set designer. What do you think this person is doing? It looks like he is making a model of a movie set. Exactly. So once you finish your interior designing, you can always be a set designer who creates sets for movies, television, and theaters. Now we come to kitchen designer. Okay, this picture for me, I really love this kitchen because it's very spacious. It's all white, it's clean, it's sleek. I really like it. It's simple also, actually, I really like, and you can see the nature from outside, So like I said, for furniture designer, if you really want to concentrate on one section of interior designing, after completing your interior course, like kitchen designing, or bathroom designing, or lighting designing, or wardrobe designing, you can always become. And also remember, when you're actually passing through any of the streets, you will be actually seeing a shop which is exclusively for kitchenware. You might have seen it actually. So remember, you can always concentrate on any of the genres of interior designing after you finish your interior designing. Okay, you can become a commercial space interior designer. Commercial space interior designer is a person who designs for retail malls or hotels or restaurants or clubs or spaces like this. Okay, now this picture is of a store, a retail store. It is definitely a posh store, because you can see the spacing which is kept and the kind of fixtures which is having. It's really stylish, sleek, and really to the other level. Okay, now how are they different from residential interior designers? So like I said, I think the design process remains the same. The research remains the same, but here the difference comes is, like, for home, when you actually think of a home, it should be more welcoming. It should be it should radiate warmth. It should be the liking of the client. But when it comes to a commercial space, okay, this should be more of the functionality or the usability. Like for the retail store, it should be on how you display your product. What are the fixtures? What is the walkway? What is the space which is allowed for the customer to actually try the garment? So these are dependent on functionality or of what they're designing for. So this is the basic difference, and let's move to the next one. Before I move on to, I need you to take a look at this one, that is freelancer. I hope all of you all of you know what a freelancer is. If not, I'll explain. Freelancer is a person who actually takes a project and complete them. So he or she may not be actually working full time with a company, but instead they pick up projects from different companies or clients and complete their work. Clear? So freelancing option in interior designing is really, really huge. So many of them pick up freelancing option or start their own brand. Let me introduce you to Shabnam Gupta, our interior designing mentor, who has done some amazing interior work and has worked with many celebrity home interiors like Kangana Ranaut, Raveena Tandon, Irfan Khan. Okay. So I come to photography. I think I don't need to explain this term. It's self-explanatory. A person who clicks pictures or takes pictures are called a photographer. Now, but where do you think they work? Okay, what is the scope of professional photography after you complete your studies? Okay, so let's take a look by this example. So this is a picture. This is a photograph of a fashion photography. Actually, this is done by a professional called fashion photographer. So fashion photographer is a person who comes out with a photograph of latest clothes, accessories, lifestyle, hairstyle, shoes, all these things, and he's a person who's responsible for the best photographic expression in a magazine or during a photo shoot. Okay, when you're taking a look at this picture, it definitely is a picture which is taken to display the dress. But is it just the dress that is getting attractive? No. Take a look at this fabric which is flowing. Okay, so this brings you your focal point basically. So this is definitely the creativity of the photographer. So fashion photographer need to have creative skills, need to have great photography and photo editing skills. Along with that, if you have good interpersonal skills like making you need to remember that as a fashion photographer you deal with a lot of models and celebrities. You have to make them comfortable, and if you have a knowledge of the latest fashion or the trends or the lifestyle, what is happening actually, this will be helping. So if you have a combination of all this after you finish your photography course, you can always become a fashion photographer. Okay, now this could be a picture that you can easily see when you're actually flipping through or browsing through websites like Jabong, Myntra, Amazon. Okay, so if you actually go through any of these websites, you will see that all their products are displayed by using photographic images. Now behind all these photographic images you have a photographer. So you can imagine the extent of photography career there. So that kind of a photographer is called product photographer. So this picture is being taken by a product photographer, and the job opportunity in product photography is much wider than any other field. Yeah. Now we come to a career option called travel photography or travel photographer. Now, travel photographer is a person who travels, definitely. The term itself says that actually, and clicks picture of the landscape, custom, culture, history, people of that particular space or place. Now, like travel photography, you have two other career choice like landscape photography. That is, this picture indicates a landscape photographer, and a wildlife photographer. Wildlife photographer is a person who clicks pictures of wildlife, like wildlife animals basically. So you're clear on that, but you may be wondering what are the career options. So most of them earn their money by freelancing for magazines basically, or they can also sell the photograph for stock photography or photography galleries, who store photographs basically. Now this picture, when you look at this picture, what comes into your mind? For me, it looks like a family is fleeing from a war-torn country, and it is so. This photograph was taken in 2016, a family fleeing from Iraq during the Iraq conflict, and you can see the oil field burning in the background. So I don't need to explain this. The picture is self-explanatory. This kind of photography is called photojournalism. A journalist write the situation of the world by pen and paper, but a photojournalist is a person who actually expresses the situation or the ground reality of the world by photography, and it speaks 1,000 words. So they get hired and they work along with news channels, news magazines, newspapers. Yeah. Now, this particular career, photo blogger, like I said, in fashion designing, that is a fashion blogger, they also upload pictures and videos. So behind the pictures or photographs, they will not be clicking the photograph because you need to have an understanding about photography. So behind every fashion blogging, you have a good photographer, that is a photo blogger there. So you can always become a photo blogger also. And like interior designing, you have a lot of option in freelancing and you can start your own studio. So let me introduce you to Avinash Gowariker, our photography mentor, who has done amazing work, who has worked with Bollywood and clicked pictures of famous personalities like Amitabh Bachchan, Amir Khan and Shah Rukh Khan. But when we come to graphic designing, let's understand what is graphic designing. So you see this picture, you have graphic designing written, you have stars popping, you have bright colors, background colors like bright yellow and bright blue. So when you have a combination of text, images, or it can be photograph or sketches, and you have colors there, this becomes a visual composition. And this visual composition is made by a graphic designer. And where can we use it? This can easily become your book cover. It can be a brochure. It can be a banner. It can be many different things. So where do graphic designers? So after completing your graphic designing course, you can become a graphic designing. And where do they typically work? They typically work in advertisement field or companies. They work with magazines. They work with any print media, like it can be magazine or it can be newspaper or it can be anything which is printed basically. Now, can they only work there? Take a look at this picture. You can see there is an image and there is a text. So when you have a combination of an image and the text, it is a work of graphic designer. So this is the work of graphic designer from Hamstech, because it's an advertisement of our live online and contact classes. So when we come to this, basically, you can understand that graphic designers are required at Hamstech also, not only at Hamstech basically. They are required. There is an opening for graphic designer for most of the companies. So the options that you have is very wide, because most of the companies these days actually come out with their own posters, maybe their own brochures, maybe their own catalog prints, maybe their own flyers, maybe. So for all these things, or their own web pages, for all these things, you need to have a graphic designer there. Now, if you take a look at, this, that is the logo of Hamstech here also, logo of Hamstech basically. You can see colors, you can see a symbol, you can see the text written. So when you have a combination of text, color, image, it's a work of graphic designer. So once you finish your graphic designing, you can always become a logo designer. Okay, and you can also become a web page designer. So this can easily become a web page also, right? So you can always become a web page designer, web layout or web page designer. Now I take you to this image. Okay, this is a graphical image and you can see 3 people are working. They are working on different things, and this introduced me to actually UI UX designing. This is a new field. UI stands for user interface designer. Now, what is a user interface designer? So user interface is, say you're the user, like you and me. Okay, if you actually work on a mobile, you are actually interacting with a machine. So that particular interface is called user interface. So user interface is a person who designs anything. It can start from designing the buttons on the mobile, like she's doing here actually, designing the buttons or icons on the mobile, okay, making it comfortable for the customer to actually navigate, or working on the page layout of a website, or it can be actually working on the navigation page. So user interface is a person who can work on any user interface, like what? Mobile, interface, that is, arranging, designing the buttons or the layout of the mobile or the tablet or the computer, or it can be actually redesigning web pages, coming out with the design what customers want or user friendly basically. It can also can be one example I'll give you. It can also be, take a look at your remote controls of your TV. So that is also a machine that you interact to control the TV or any of the appliances basically. So designing the buttons there is also user interface. So it's actually a very vast field, and it's really booming. Even during the pandemic, this is one field that has not shown any slowdown. It's only going up, and they are predicting that this is going to be really actually they are going to have a lot of job opportunities in this field. So UI UX is one thing that you can look for. And in our 3-year course of graphic designing, we have a dedicated module for UI UX, and in a 1-year course of graphic designing we have a subject which covers UI UX. Now, what is this? From where? From advertisement fields, graphic designing to dried fruits. But take a look at the packages, actually, the package here. Okay, you have dried fruit, text written down, you have colors here, you have the picture of dried fruit, you have graphical image of dried fruit. So when you have a combination of all these things, this becomes a visual representation or visual composition, and visual compositions are done by graphic designing. So packaging industry, you can always become a product packaging designer after completing your graphic designing course. Okay, let me introduce you to this brand called Chumbak. If you take a look at their product range, they have bags, they have keychains, they have pencil pouches, they have plates, they have glasses, they have book covers and mobile cases. Their products are varied, but what is one common thread that is connecting all of them? You can see it is flashy, quirky, graphical design. So this is a store which is dedicated to graphic designing, and their unique selling point of the store is graphic designing. So I just want you to take a look at what are the different options that you have in graphic designing. So now from here, this is a movie poster. This is designed by Kailash Nayak. Kailash Nayak is the mentor for graphic designing student. He is a very famous graphic designer, and he has designed this poster for Dave D basically. So if you take a look, how can I say this is graphic designing? This is a combination of picture, splash of colors, and text written very creatively. Yeah. So you can become a movie poster designer also, and you can always start your own brand. Now we come to fashion styling. I told you when I was covering actually fashion designing that I have a dedicated slide for fashion styling. I'll tell you why. The reason is we have a dedicated 6 months fashion styling program at Hamstech. Let's understand what's the difference between fashion designing and fashion styling. Now, when I take you to fashion designing, let me just refresh your memory that fashion designer is a person who designs and creates a complete new garment. Now, fashion stylist, let's understand with this picture. If you take a look at these 5 photographs, okay, what is the one common thing that you can notice? That is, take a look. That is a white t-shirt. You can see how it is paired or styled or modeled so that it creates 5 different fashion looks. Okay, when we go through the first fashion look, the white t-shirt is paired with a jacket which is rolled up, and it is it is paired with a slim fit jeans and accessorized with boots, a fabric belt, a very delicate neck piece here to create a very trendy fashion look. So fashion stylist is a person who comes out with fashion looks, taking the available garments. Clear? But where do they work? What does this situation look like? This situation is definitely a fashion photo shoot, because you can see the photographer here, you can see the lighting here, you can see the camera, you can see another person who's helping here, you can see a model getting ready for the shoot. But who's this? This is a photo stylist or fashion photo stylist. Okay, she is the one who comes out with the mood of the photography, the atmosphere of the photography, the styling for the photography. So here it could be a fashion shoot for this bronze jacket or pant, but it is she definitely that who came up with the striped t-shirt to be wearing and this cowboy hat, and the way the model is posing is all being come up by the fashion photo stylist. So photo stylist works behind the photo shoots, comes up with the mood, the atmosphere and the style of a photo shoot so it looks attractive and stylish. This is as recommended by the photographer or the company. Clear? And you have, since the number of magazines are very high, the fashion magazines opportunities are also very high in fashion styling, fashion photo styling. Now we come to celebrity stylist. Now when we're coming to celebrity stylist, celebrities are people who are microscopically scrutinized every time they set out. Media, scrutinize them for the attire they wear, the accessory they wear, the hairstyle they don, the makeup they look, their attitude, the personality. So when it comes to all these things, celebrities need to have fashion stylists working with them throughout to come out with the best look when they attend occasions like movie premieres, movie promotions, or it can be a red carpet event, or it can be any time they step out, because they need to look the best, because looks are everything for them. So you can always become a celebrity stylist after finishing a styling course. Now, is it just the celebrities who require a fashion stylist? Definitely no. These days, even people like businessmen, women, or elite social circle, or even people who are working with MNCs or managers who need to look their best for all their occasion, they hire fashion stylists who are called the image consultant to come and take a look and analyze their wardrobe or their personal style and improve or enhance their look so that they look their best when they attend all these occasions. Clear? Like all other creative field, you can start your own brand even in fashion styling. And remember, because the advertising, movie industry, magazine shoots, and the way we look is very important these days for us. Actually, fashion styling is really a booming career, and we have a 6 months course for that. Okay. Now we come into jewelry designing. Who is a jewelry designer, or what is jewelry designing? Jewelry designing is the art and profession of designing and creating jewelry. In our jewelry designing module, most of the module, we have a 1-year program, and majority of the module we cover fine jewelry. And what is fine jewelry? Fine jewelry deals with jewelry which are made from gold or silver, that is precious metals, or gems like emerald, sapphire, diamond, pearls. So after finishing our jewelry designing, they go ahead and work with fine jewelry companies like Tanishq and different brands basically. So you can always become a jewelry designer, fine jewelry designer after completing your course, because our course majority of our module deals with fine jewelry. That is a sketching of the jewelry, can be gemology part, how the gems are all fit into the jewelry. Basically, all these things are being taught at our jewelry course. Now, take a look at this picture actually. This represents fashion jewelry. Now, fashion jewelry, unlike the fine jewelry, you can see which is made by beads, stones, metals, which are not that precious. Okay, we have a small module of fashion jewelry in our 1-year course. So you can always become a fashion jewelry designer after completing your jewelry designing course. You may think that fashion jewelry, what is the scope for it? Think of an everyday scene. Every day you change your outfit. Don't you want your jewelry to complement or match with the outfit? You definitely want. So if you're an elite, you can definitely afford fine jewelry. But if you're not, then you can always play around with your looks with fashion or costume jewelry. Okay, so fashion jewelry, also one more interesting thing in our jewelry course is that we teach our students how to make this fashion jewelry. So once you finish your jewelry course, you can always start a very small business also from your home, making your own jewelry, okay, and supplying it to your customers or clients basically. Now you finish 1-year course, jewelry course, you are great with jewelry designing or jewelry understanding. Along with that, you have great selling skills and you have skills, great skills to interact with customer. So for that, you can always, somebody like that, you can always actually join jewelry retails. There are so many jewelry stores which require retailing job, and the opportunities is much wide. So once you finish that, you can always work with jewelry retailing, work for jewelry retailing jobs, or you can start your own jewelry company. Okay. Okay, what is baking? Simple words, it's dry heat cooking. What are the different products in baking? Generally, the products are, cookies, biscuits, cakes, pastries, pies, tart, yummy. Okay. Now, that's very interesting course. We have a 3 months exclusive dedicated baking program at Hamstech. But you may be wondering, what do I become after you finish your baking course? Most of our students become home bakers. They actually bake for their family, friends, or they start a very small business for their community, friends, and family. Okay. That doesn't limit you to work full-time. You can always become a confectionery baker. You can go ahead and apply for full-time job at a bakery. Now, in most of the hotels, they have a separate pastry section. So you can always join there, or you can become a pastry chef at hotels. Okay. Now, the best profession, I'll still say, for all the bakery students or those who are interested to become study bakery, is start your own bakery or start your own home baking business. Okay, it's a very interesting module, and we have a 3 months course in baking. Now again, in makeup, we have a 3 months course, and I think makeup is again self-explanatory. Makeup is the art of applying makeup or cosmetic. Okay, and makeup artist can also, once you complete our 3 months course, you can always become a celebrity makeup artist, which I don't think I need to explain, because I explained in fashion styling is that every time a celebrity step out, they need to look their best or spotless. For that, they need to have their own personal stylist or their own personal makeup artist with them. Okay. Now, bridal makeup artist or wedding makeup artist is something that we cover in detail. Okay, in our 3 months course, we have a dedicated module for bridal makeup artists. The reason is because the weddings that happen around are so high that you will always find freelancing option, or you will always find work working as wedding makeup artist. Now, fashion makeup artist is a person who work behind the photo shoots basically, or of magazine basically, or it can be people, makeup artists who are working behind the fashion shows. It can be people who work in the movies also. So majorly they're dealing their work area is movies or fashion. Okay, for this I told you, like fashion photographer, they need to have great creative skill, and they should be updated about what's happening in the world, what is the updating, what is the trend for makeup at present. around the world and in India or the place where they're working. Okay, and what are the people's preferences also they need to understand. Now, all the above jobs, whether it's celebrity, bridal, fashion, makeup, they look more like a freelancing job, right? But you also have actually full-time makeup artistry jobs. Like, for example, once you finish your 3 months course with Hamstech and you have the makeup skills, along with that you have the selling skills and you are great at dealing with customers, then the makeup company or makeup retailing jobs are open for you. Shops like Lifestyle or Mac always have numerous makeup artists at their stores who can deal with the customers. At the same time, they need to have understanding about makeup. So this is a great job opportunity for you also. Like all other creative field, you can start your own studio. When I conclude, I just want you to remind back the different career choices that you have when you actually study with Hamstech. They have 8 of creative courses, and at this point of time, because of the pandemic, we also have an exclusive or unique educational model, that is your online plus campus learning. So go ahead, if you have any doubts, please ask me.